Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be reviewing the brand new Sencut Aetheris. This is a nice larger knife from Sencut at 8.55 inches overall. And it has a 3.68 inch clip point blade with a nice satin finish on this particular variation. Nice jimping that grips the thumb nicely. You're not going anywhere. You have a nice needle-like tip there that's going to be great for piercing. You have, I'm going to call this an okay sharpening choil. You should be able to get, I'd say 2, 3, maybe 4 sharpenings before it's going to widen on you. You have dual thumb studs that stay out of your cutting path. Your blade steel on this one is 9CR 18 MOV. And you have 0.12 on your blade stock. Nice deep hollow grind that comes down to around 15 thousandths behind the edge. So this one should be a great slicer. Let's find out. Now, this one came, I'm going to say, just sharp. And I say that not because it's just not the sharpest Sencut knife I've ever gotten. Because usually the Sencuts I get are just stupid sharp. I've had a couple whittle hair before. This one's good. And hopefully it has some bite to it. But we'll find that out in a little bit. I'll call it, perfectly acceptable. But when you're used to getting, those hair popping sharp, well, this one might be hair popping, but even beyond hair popping, then you see what I'm saying. So now we're moving on to the ergos. Start out light. I'm able to make, I'm able to bite into the wood rather easily. I did notice whenever I started really bearing down to the wood that the scales were flexing just a little bit. Nothing crazy and nothing uncomfortable. Just something that I thought I should mention. But it did well. No hot spots other than the flexing is not really a hot spot, but just something I noticed. It was rather comfortable. Then we go on to the 1/2 inch sisal rope, and as you can see, it's got bite to it, and it's not that difficult. But if you've used, if you do this type of cutting on sisal rope with these Sencuts, you know what I mean. They're usually minimal pressure getting through the rope, and they're usually like my favorite knives to test. But this one's not bad, and this one was still my favorite probably of the day, because I had 3 other budget knives that I tested before and after this one, and they all did not do as well as the Sencut. So that just kind of give you perspective there. It has enough belly to make these cuts rather easy in a pinch grip. You can use the index finger. You can do a slicing motion cut, push cut, however you want to do it. That hollow grind, the good geometry makes it rather easy to get through the sisal rope. All that stuff plays a part, especially the edge bevel and how sharp it is. So I'd still give it A on that one, just didn't wow me. And it got through it all without being uncomfortable. Felt rather locked in. And now we move to the rest, and you can see it's going to be a lot easier just to use that belly to do a drag cut, because to use the tip, you almost have to come up to a 90-degree angle, and not something I really want to do. And the belly is just going to be easier. It went through all the stuff rather easily. And that's just, to show you, it's still sharp enough to get through all this without any trouble, and still better than most. And hopefully we get that nice screaming sharp edge again that I'm used to from from Sencut, my bad. I thought it sliced well. Now, was it the sliciest I've ever had? No, but I think that's because this isn't as sharp as I'm used to with Sencut. It was sharp, but not that screaming sharp that 98% of the ones I've ever reviewed were. Let's talk about the ergos real quick. So you have a very neutral handle, just this one choil area. You have some nice texture on that peel ply. A little bit more than most of the Civivis, like say this Civivi Iwasi. Maybe it's because this one's a little bit newer, but it feels a little grippier. Not in a bad way. It's not overly aggressive or anything. With that deep chamfer going all the way around, it was nice and comfortable. You got some little milled lines there. And the hammer grip is nice. Now, when you're really bearing down, you can flex these scales some. It wasn't terrible. terrible. Just something I want to mention. And in this grip is fine. I don't really notice the flipper tab all that much, but if you're really bearing down, you might notice it. And the reverse gas station knife fight grip's great because this is rounded over. Now let's talk about the action on this one. So you have the flipper tab with some nice jimps there that grip the finger nicely for the light switch. And it comes rocketing out, riding on cage ceramic bearings. Thumb studs work great. Perfectly tuned detent for both actions. If you wanted to, you could kind of load up on that corner right there and give it a little bit more of a positive flip. But I prefer the light switch. It comes out fast enough for me. If I wanted to, I could slow roll it. No problem. And then I could reverse flick off that back thumb stud. It is easily accessible on the left side as well. And this is going to break in the more and more I carry and use it. I have not taken this one apart. Usually when they're not free droppers, when I get them out of box, after I finish testing them, if I clean them up, put my own lube on it, they become free droppers pretty quick. Like I said earlier, my particular variation has the Ivory Peel Ply G10. Now, if you're someone like myself that kind of gets OCD about certain things, this Ivory G10 gets dirty very quick. I cleaned it up before the video just so it didn't look filthy. But your natural hand oils alone are going to make this turn like a different shade pretty quick. And if you have anything on your hands, it's gonna turn that color quick as well. You got a nice chamfer going all the way around, no sharp areas. Your G10 scales are slightly shadow boxed to your stainless steel liner, just meaning that the stainless steel liners sit a little bit wider than the scales. However, you don't feel that because they round over. Hopefully you can see that right there. They round over the edges of the stainless steel liners. So I've never ever once felt those liners thinking they were uncomfortable or anything. They're pretty much like a high satin, almost mirror polish on those stainless steel liners. You have a Torx T8 for that pivot, crisp T8 for your body screws, lanyard hole, and look at this. On a pretty cheap knife, you have the recessed spot for your reversible clip. Very nicely done. It's inset into the G10 and it's sitting not so deep, you carry. It's going to be all the way to the end of the scales. Only T6 you have is for the pocket clip. I'm okay with that. Your stainless steel liners are about as pocketed out as you can get them. Look at all that pocketing on the top, and if you look here on the bottom, pretty much every bit of skeletonization you can get on this knife. So they can bring down the weight as much as possible because, like I said, this is an 8.55 inch knife. However, they still managed to keep the weight down to 3.97 ounces. I think that's fantastic. Your balance point is sheer perfection right there in that choil area. So it's going to feel even lighter than that in hand. We have flow through construction, 2 hourglass standoffs in the back right here. There's your stop pin, and your liner lock on my particular version is sitting at around, I'd say 50 to 60% or so. Access to that lock is okay. The show side comes down a little bit lower. I don't ever like seeing the texture there. I can use the tip of my thumb, but because of that texture, it's not that comfortable for me. I always, when it comes to Civivis and Sencuts liner locks, I always use this portion because my neuropathy goes crazy whenever I use my thumb like that. The tips of my thumb, at least, it doesn't hurt whenever I use this portion. The lockup on this one, rock solid, not an inch of movement up or down, left or right. Exactly what I want to see. Now for some quick size comparisons, it's just a little shorter than the Sencut Glide Strike, and it's pretty much identical in length to the Sencut Scornax. And it's pretty similar in length to the Sencut Omniform and a little bigger than the Sencut Awasi. And it's pretty much identical in length to the Ontario Rat 1 and Dorsal Rat 2. And lastly, it's just a hair shorter than the Sencut Fantera, and it's just about identical in length to the Kaiser Justice. Being that absolutely no knife is perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? No major flaws here. Maybe bring this plunge grind all the way back right here so I could have all this sharpening life rather than just to about right there before I end up hitting that thicker plunge grind. I'm not a huge clip point fan, and this is more of like a plain design. Now, if it's your thing, you know, it's priced well, you know, nothing wrong with that. I just prefer something with a lower tip or a warranty. And last thing, talked about it a little bit, but whenever I was doing the wood shaving, it was very slicey and I was able to get a good bit of force into it. But whenever I was really bearing down, I noticed that I was flexing these scales just a little bit, not much. They're longer scales, and you know, your next contact point from that pivot is here. And then you have tons of skeletonization to bring down the weight as well. So nothing crazy or anything. So what are my final thoughts on the new Sencut Aetheris? Well, Love that deep hollow grind. It sliced very well. Not the best I've ever gotten, but all that's going to take is putting my own edge on it, and it'll be an absolute laser beam, like I'm used to getting from Sencut. They're bound to get one that's not stupid sharp like the rest. If you're looking for a larger knife that's not super weighty, with great action, great slicing capabilities, and has a reversible and inset deep carry clip, then yeah, I can easily recommend this one because this one comes in right at $40. So yeah, if nothing I talked about earlier is a deal breaker for you, then this is an easy recommendation. That price, what you're getting here, yeah, no brainer. Pretty much like every single Sencut knife, unless there's a glaring flaw. Oh, last thing, like I said, I would always prefer to have a little bit more access to that lock and not have this texture. But that's just me, and I know not everybody has neuropathy in their hand. So, but for me, the easy way around it is using that other portion of my thumb. That's become my go-to way to disengage any liner lock now. So if you're interested in picking one of these up and you want to help support the channel, you can use my links down below. That helps me pay for my testing materials. If not, no sweat at all. If you have any questions in particular, feel free to ask me down below as well. And I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep these blades sharp, smile more,